So here's the third video in the series about taking a look at what's going on under the hood in an ATMEGA328 C function or program. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to call an assembler function from C. And I'll show you how that's done. All right, so we were talking earlier about calling a C function from inside of a C function or inside of a C set of routines. That's relatively straightforward. We've disassembled it to see what sort of the guts look like inside. Now, let's see about passing a parameter into a function and getting a value back from that function, but having written that function in assembler. So in order to make that work, we have to create a file written in assembler, and we have to tell the IDE that it is an assembler file. So to do that, I've already done it right here. I'm calling it assembler underscore multi.S. The way to do that is you go into source files, right click on it, you say new, other, and empty file. You click on next. You're going to be prompted for the file name. Call it whatever you want, but it has to be .S. If you do .lowercase or .asm, it won't work. It won't compile. So I'm just going to cancel this because I've already done it. But basically, you have to make sure that that assembler file that you're creating has a .S at the end of it. All right. So when I wrote it up, I basically started with this, okay? And then I ended the file with that. In between, I had to leave it blank until I'd had a look at what registers were going to be used for passing values in and then returning values from. So what I did is I kept the middle of it blank. I went back into my C program, and what I did is I put a breakpoint in here and simulated it. I'll do that right now and I'll show you, because we're going to let the C compiler choose which registers are going to be used for bringing stuff in and pulling stuff out of that assembler function. All right, so I go to disassembly right here, and I scroll down to that line where I have written in C the name of my function, the name of the input parameter, the name of the output parameter right there, or the output return variable. And I take a look and I can see that there's a load operation here that looks to R24. What's going to happen is that there's going to be a value in RAM that will be pulled out of RAM and then placed into register R24. That's my input parameter. Afterwards, the function, the assembler function, gets called using the call function or the call operation. And upon return, it's going to take whatever is in the register it chooses, in this case, again, R24. So R24 is used to bring stuff in, and R24 is going to be used to bring stuff out. The compiler chose that. Okay, I didn't. So what will happen is that it will take the contents after the function has finished. It will take the contents of R24 and store it in memory, okay, in RAM. And then from there, basically, once it goes into RAM, that's your variable, the one that you declared in C, okay? It takes it from R24, stores it in RAM, and it will store it in variable my output var2. That'll be it. And it'll be in at least in this particular case, in address 100. All right. So that's how you basically set it up. You basically have a half-written assembler function in a separate file, and then you figure out what the C compiler wants for input and output registers. Okay. All right. From there, now that I knew it was R24, I then ended up running or sorry, writing the rest of this. Okay, I basically said, well, I know that R28 and R29, these two registers right here, are being used for stack-related operations. Okay, then from there, I'm going to use R16 because I could see that R16 wasn't being used in my C functions at all. So I was going to use that for internal calculations here. And then I knew that the R24 was going to be available. And so that I could, in this case, all I want to do is add add 1 to my input and then output it again. So I say add R16. R16 will have a value of 1 in it. Add R16 to R24 and store it in R24. I'm just using the add mnemonic. All right, from there, I have the epilogue of my function. Okay, we'll step through this and I'll explain the rest of this in a moment. But basically, all I'm using are R16, R29, and R28 temporarily. R24 is being used in and it's being used out as well. All right, so let's step. So I'm stepping through my C function, which we've done before. And we're now at the line where I'm just doing an iteration on my variable. I'll skip past that. And now I'm at the line where I'm going to call my assembler function. I'm going to hit the disassembly at this point so we can see it. There is the line in C. I'm showing that there will be a value pulled out of RAM and placed into R24. This is my input parameter. Okay, my input parameter is this right here. That's the LDS command right there. And then afterwards, call will be used to call to the label where my assembler function is defined. So I'm going to skip call one more time, and we're now over here. Let me see. So this is in my assembler function, and what we can see is that it's gone past the first push. So I'm saving the contents of R28 and R29, putting that onto the stack. I'm going to also save the value of R16. So let's see, R28, R29 over in this window over here. Okay, so we're going to see that this is, so 7D and 00 are going to get pushed onto the stack, which is at the end of memory. And let's see, and then R16, which was over here, had a value of 0. It is now pushed onto the stack. Next up, we are going to load the low byte of stack address into R28. So we're going to save the value of the stack pointer, okay, so that we can restore it afterwards to make sure that we get back when we return, our program counter will be loaded properly. Okay, there we go. Next, I'm going to do the actual math operation. So I'm going to load a value of 1 into R16. You can see over here R16 was loaded with 1. Now I'm going to take that 1 and add it to R24. R24 should be a value of 9. Yep, there it is right there. That will make it a value of 10 in decimal, or A in hexadecimal. There we go. So 1 plus 9 gives me A in hex, or 10 in base 10. All right, from there, I want to, well, now I've done basically the meat inside of my assembler function. Now I need to restore things. So that so I'm engaging what's referred to as the epilogue. The initial setup for my assembler function is called the prologue. Now I'm doing everything in reverse that I did in that prologue. That's called the epilogue. So you can see here that I'm calling the out mnemonic. The out mnemonic is going to act on 3E, which I called using that macro right there. And so that works with R29. So step. We're going to do the same thing to R28 so that we have the stack pointer, which should be (08F8). All right, now I'm going to restore the value that was in R16, so we should see that change. So R16 is 1. It should go back, I think it's to 0. Yep, it goes back to 0. I'm going to restore R29. R29 goes back to 0. I'm going to restore R28. Goes back to 7D. So that was pulled off the stack and restored in terms of value. And now my stack pointer should be set up properly, and I should be able to return back to the line after the call in my C function. Let's see if that actually returns. I always get nervous around that. Yes, so it went back to address A8. And if you look right here, you can see that A8 was in the stack. It pulled it out of the stack in order to get the right return location for the program counter. All right, and then the value in R24 should get placed back into the return value. And so let me see if that works. So I believe that 9 should get updated. No, sorry, it wasn't the 9, it was this one right here. This right here. So my output var2 got updated to 10 after the STS line right there. All right. And then I'll just keep looping like that. So that's how to integrate a more or less straight up assembler written function in a more general case where you're writing in C and you need to or want to call something that's been primarily written in assembler. There you go. All right, good luck everyone.